Break news this week. This is the last show for 2013, and I want to go ahead and do my top 10 infectious disease and outbreak stories of the year. And let me start out with, I did 3 honorable mentions. There could be more, but this is what I did for my honorable mentions. One of them is the Carter Center announced that the number of guinea worm cases in 2012 was down to 542.
Guinea worm?
Guinea worm. It's a parasitic disease, Bill. And the amazing thing about that is about in 1986, there was 3.5 million cases in Africa and Asia. So it's down to 542.
Is guinea worm the same as ringworm?
No, ringworm is a fungus. And guinea worm is, and I talked to Dr. Donald Hopkins over the summer on Dispatch Radio, and he suspects that in the next few years, this parasitic disease will be eradicated. So this is really big news, and maybe the next disease after smallpox to be fully eradicated. My second honorable mention is the H5N1 avian influenza in Cambodia. Cambodia saw a dramatic increase in this particular strain of bird flu, recording 26 cases in 2013. From 2005 to 2012, it recorded 21 cases. And not only that, about 7 out of 10 cases in 2013 were from Cambodia. So we did see good things. We saw big decreases in countries that are typically known for having more cases, like Indonesia, but Cambodia just blew up in 2013. And my third honorable mention is the South American country of Colombia eliminated river blindness. River blindness, again, is another parasitic disease, and they became the first country in the Americas to eliminate river blindness. So congratulations to Colombia on that. And now we'll go ahead and start with the top 10.
Number 10.
Okay, a Maryland organ transplant patient contracted rabies. This happened back in March. It was the first time that the state of Maryland reported a human rabies death since the bicentennial. And what made this story extra unusual was the patient contracted the virus via an organ transplant about a year earlier. And the CDC went on to say that there were 3 other recipients who received organs from this infected donor. And the more remarkable thing is all those donors recipients survived. So that's our story number 10.
Number 9.
Chikungunya in the Western Hemisphere. Pretty new story. Basically started this month. It's a big story, though, because this viral disease, transmitted by the same mosquitoes that transmit dengue fever, have never been seen in North, Central, or South America as locally transmitted. That is, the mosquitoes in these countries, these continents, have never transmitted the viral disease. Well, that all changed when a couple cases were first reported on the Caribbean island of St. Martin. And since then, the outbreak has grown to be more than 24, and some of the neighboring islands of Martinique and Guyana are also showing positive cases. So this is a big story. When will it come to the United States?
Number 8.
Okay, meningitis B on U.S. college campuses. As we've all been hearing, Neisseria meningitis B has been confirmed in about a dozen students, 8 of them in Princeton and 4 of them at UC Santa Barbara, 2 separate sides of the United States. They were both declared outbreaks by their respective states, New Jersey and California. But to me, the biggest story that came out of these outbreaks was the FDA allowed the use of the unlicensed vaccine Bexsero to be used at Princeton this month of December. Bexsero is a vaccine that does offer protection for Neisseria meningitis B, but it's only licensed in the UK, Europe, and Australia. So that's how this story got into my top 10.
Number 7.
Okay, the Salmonella outbreak in the United States linked to Foster Farms chicken. Yeah, this has been going on forever. The whole 2013, we've been hearing about this outbreak. I think there's about 7 different strains of Salmonella Heidelberg that have been linked to the Foster Farms chicken products. And the outbreak is still not over. According to the latest numbers from the CDC, more than 400 people have been affected. And the strains of Salmonella Heidelberg have also been found to be antibiotic resistant. So that we'll be keeping an eye on that as 2014 comes along.
Number 6.
Dengue fever. I couldn't even narrow this down. It's everywhere. At the turn of the year, I was monitoring the outbreak of dengue on the Portuguese island of Madeira, which ended up reporting 2,100 cases. But it didn't stop from there. Asia, we saw in Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, large increases of the viral disease. The Indian subcontinent, India and Pakistan are still battling dengue as they're setting all kinds of big numbers over there. Closer to home, in the Americas, there was about 2.3 million cases of dengue fever. Brazil alone reported 1.5 million cases. And for us in the United States, there was 505 cases of dengue fever in 2013. The vast majority, of course, were travel related, but there was at least 24 that were considered locally acquired.
Number 5.
Polio has been in the news all year, and it's had its ups and downs. This is another disease which, because it's only found in humans, there's many that believe this can be eradicated following smallpox. But there's been some bad news and there's been some good news, and I record this in the globaldispatch.com. The bad news this year was they had a big outbreak of polio on the Horn of Africa. It first started in April with its first case in Somalia, which had its first case of polio since 2007. And the outbreak grew to 203 cases total. The Horn of Africa is comprised of Somalia, Kenya, and Ethiopia. Then, of course, there's Syria. There's a lot of chaos going on in Syria. Polio's there also. Syria hasn't seen polio since 1999, but the current outbreak, there has been 17 people infected. Of course, mostly children. In Pakistan, which is one of the 3 remaining endemic countries, has seen some increase in polio this year as compared to 2012. However, there is some good news going on right now in polio. The Horn of Africa outbreak is on the decline. There hasn't been any cases reported in a couple weeks. Afghanistan is probably the biggest news. Afghanistan is one of the 3 polio endemic countries, and they only reported 11 cases in 2013. However, none of them were considered indigenous cases. They were all considered linked to Pakistan. Okay, let's move on.
Number 4.
My highest ranked foodborne outbreak is number 4. It's the Cyclospora parasite outbreak in the United States. We saw this first in Iowa. I remember speaking to the Iowa Department of Health medical director, Patricia Quinlisk, about this back in July. Well, when the outbreak was finally declared over, there were 631 cases reported from 25 states and New York City.
Number 3.
Number 3 was Mike Costin's number 1 story of the year. It's my number 3 story. It's the H7N9 avian influenza outbreak in China. It started in February, and this particular strain of bird flu has never been seen in humans before until China. There are now about 150 cases reported, roughly, including imported cases in Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Number 2.
The Middle East Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus, or MERS. Of course, this outbreak started back in 2012, but it continued strong through 2013. Today, there's about 170 cases confirmed by the World Health Organization and more than 70 fatalities. And as I write in the website, theglobaldispatch.com, one of the most intriguing aspects of the virus is the question, where are humans contracting it from? And there's some research out there saying they've found the virus in camels in Qatar, but nothing is clear and nothing is certain.
And the number 1 infectious diseases of 2013?
In my thought, it's the Kaylee Hardig story. I first reported this in July. And it's very near and dear to me because at the time I was just confirming an interview with Dr. Jennifer Cope with the CDC. She's their Naegleria fowleri expert.
And that's Katie Hardley?
Kaylee Hardig.
Oh, Kaylee Hardig.
Right. And when I was confirming Dr. Cope, because, Naegleria is seen sporadically in Florida, I was going to do a special on that. Kaylee turned up positive. This 12-year-old girl from Benton, Arkansas, contracted the free living parasite from an Arkansas water park. However, why she's number 1 is she beat all odds, and she's the first person to survive this very, very, very 99% lethal infection in the United States since 1970.
How often does that happen, catching something from a water park?
Pretty rare. But there's been about 132 cases confirmed since 1962 in the United States.
I know you can catch stuff from like a jacuzzi or something like that, right?
Well, this is usually from fresh water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We see it sometimes in neti pots and that kind of use, but typically it's swimming in lakes, when the water rushes up your nose, fresh water. One of the big, other than the fact that Kaylee actually survived this infection, she's doing well, she's back in school. This story also brought the investigational drug miltefosine to the mainstream. So to me, this was truly the miracle of 2013 and my number 1 story of infectious diseases and outbreaks of 2013. All right. Well, let me know what you think. You can go to theglobaldispatch.com, check out what I wrote. You can comment on it and let me know. And I encourage you to go to theglobaldispatch.com, check out the Outbreak news section, see what's happening there. I encourage you to go visit Mike Costin's blog, Avian Flu Diary. Google that up and check that out. Good stuff. And I want to just go ahead and thank all the great guests I had this year, both on Dispatch Radio and on this show. I want to thank my business partner and co-founder of the website, Brandon Jones, for all his work and support. I want to thank my wife and my daughter and all the support they gave me. And I'm going to go ahead and sign out for 2013. I'll see you in 2014.